Man, gas prices are just out of control these days. I was complaining to a friend of mine the other day about how expensive gas was. I said it costs $40 to fill up my tank. And he said, "Wow, you drive a tank?" Hey kids, Adam here. Today we're going to shoot out 3 SSL console plugins, the Waves SSL E-Channel, which is like the hallmark plugin for many years, the brand new Waves SSL EV2, and also the one from Solid State Logic themselves, the SSL Native. Now, there's a number of plugins over the years that have kind of emulated this iconic console. For those of you who don't know what the SSL is, the SSL 4000E came out originally in the late 70s, like 79 or so. It's pretty much the iconic console in all sorts of studios all over the place. I don't even want to start naming people who have used it, but of names that you might know today, Warren Hewart has one right behind him in all of his videos, and Chris Lord-Alge, known for flying his chair up and down one for many years. I want to just choose these 3. There are several others that have come out in like the last 5 years or so. I do own 2 others. I own the IK Multimedia British channel, which sounds like complete garbage and doesn't even compare to any of these settings-wise or anything. And I also own the Analog Obsessions SSQ, which is a really nice plugin, but it's only the EQ portion of the SSL. And when I use the SSL in tracks, I typically use both the EQ and the compressor, and they work really well together. And I figured it would be easier just to do these 3 plugins, see how they compare. What I'm going to do is show you some parts in 3 different mixes, and I'll set the settings to exactly the same as on all 3, and we'll just do sound comparisons back and forth. And then at the end, I'm going to do a CPU comparison where I'm going to load up, I don't know, like 50 tracks, put the plugin on all of them, and just see what the CPU usage is. And we'll see who compares and who does the best and who does the worst. Before I get started here, I want to say that I am not getting any money or sponsorship or anything for any of these plugin companies. I'm merely a paying customer and a home mixer like many of you out there. So this is not a promo video. This is not anything like that. I just happen to own these plugins. I just bought the recent Waves one, and I wanted to do a shootout because I see a lot of these ideas and things in forums and Facebook and Reddit and things like that. So that said, let's dive in. This is a song. I'll put a card up here for how to get wide guitars, and I use this song specifically. Let's just play the guitars in this pre-chorus section of the song. They're like a distorted, widespread guitar part. So what I'm using here is the regular SSL channel from Waves. This is known as the E-Channel. It's the Waves console. This is the interface that many of you have known if you've been using Waves or SSL. So what I want to do here, I want to bring up the first track, and I want to bring up the next SSL plugin. You can see I have a couple of these in here. Let's go with the native SSL Native one that I bought. Now this thing is completely absurd because it's $479 for both this and that's the SSL Native compressor. 2 plugins, $479. No, there's no way I want to buy that. But they had a sale and they were $49.99, and that's not $49.99 This is about a year and a half ago. That's why I bought them. They were pretty highly rated at the time, and I've been comparing them back and forth, and I seem to like them. I like the interface of the Waves better, but I like the way this sounds better. So what I want to do is I want to replicate all the sounds. The first thing I want to do is I want to click this little E button because it emulates the E channel. Otherwise, it'll emulate the G, it came out about 5 or 6 years after the E, but we're going after the E channel here. So first thing is the high pass filter, and I want to put that at 100. And the easiest way is if you double click on it, you can just kind of type in the number, and that way I don't have to mess around with moving the knobs around or anything. We want this high at 1.81, and we want this -3. We want the kind of high mids at 1.05. And we want that at +3. And then we want this, there's 2 things I have to do here. So 0.29 is the frequency. It's 290 hertz. And I want to do -3.5. And then this is over here, I have the Q set up higher. So it's a 2.5, dialing it a little bit more focused. And now that they have the now that I have the settings the same, I can just disable one or the other. I'm going to show you how to do that in a little bit. Let me copy this one over because the left guitars are both the same. And then I will copy it over to the right guitars as well. All I have to do in the right guitars here is change the two frequencies, one from positive to negative, one from negative to positive. So this one goes to -3, this one goes to 3, this one goes to -3, this one goes to 3. So then now if I play them back to back and switch the plugins, they should sound, you would think they would sound very similar. Let's see what they sound like. Those sounded pretty close to me. I know the original Waves was modeled after a real SSL, and of course, the Solid State Logic, who owns the SSL, that's what their name is, of course, is going to have it modeled, as close to possible. Now that we did that comparison, let's take a look and compare the original Waves to the brand new Waves SSL EV2. And I've been using the mono one on these, so I'll bring up the mono plugin and set the same settings for everything. So first, the high pass filter at 100. Then we'll do the highs here, 1.81, the high mids at 1.05, and then do the low cut, kind of low mid cut, and the Q here. And that should do it as far as that goes. Let me copy this over, and then copy to the right channel. And again, all we have to do on the right is change this to 3, change this to -3, and then the same on the other side. And what I'll do is I'll play first the original Waves, and then I'll play the EV2. We'll go back and forth. I thought those sounded pretty similar too. I mean, now this is granted, this is only one distorted guitar. I'm not using the compression on it. I'm not like driving the EQ into the compression or the other way around. So let's take a look at another project, get more into something else, a little bit different instrumentation. All right, this is the song Information by the band Too Far Down. I was in this band 20 years ago, almost to the dates. I will put a card up for the mix breakdown I did for this video. All right, so in this song, there's two vocal tracks. There's the lead, and then there's a backup. Same singer, just sung at different times, so I process them a little bit differently. And I'm actually using the Waves SSL on this one. So I'm doing almost the same types of things. In fact, this may be a direct copy and paste. There's a couple little things different in here. I followed a Waves video actually on ways to process vocals, and I kind of like the method that he was doing in there. So he did a high pass filter at 90. He did an 8K bump I did it on the lead. So the lead is on the left, backup's on the right. I did about 4 dB on the lead. He did another bump at about 4K, and I did this about 4.5 dB. And I'm doing a little bit over 3 dB, actually 4 dB bump at 1.4K. So let's see what the SSL EV2 sounds like on this one. And I'm just going to zip through these. I'll be back in just a second. All right, let's do a comparison from the original Waves to the brand new Waves.
If she could only say what he wants to know. If she could only say what he wants to know.
I thought those are really close too. I think the really key is the compression and EQ matching between the EV2 versus the original, and driving that compressor is really kind of what the SSL is known for. Let's take a look at one other thing, and this is going to be a little bit different. Hang on a second. All right, this song is called The Nature of Bass. I will put a card up to the entire mix breakdown video series that I did here, which also includes links to the original song. This is the first and maybe the only kind of bass solo song I've ever done in my life. I started it way back in like 2005 with Sony Acid and loops and loop bass things, and I laid bass over it and I redid it over the course of many, many, many years. So I think this will be a really good interesting kind of piece because there are a lot of more kind of synthy keyboardy things that a lot of you guys are probably working on rather than like a straightforward band. Um, one of my goals when I mixed this was to use more of the SSL channel and use that in key spots as a real channel strip. So in any cases where I needed, compression and EQ, I tried to use the SSL channel versus everything else. There are a number of different sounds in this that build up kind of this profile. There's more like these synthy types things like this one. And on the other side, and there's like this synth, I call it synth arpeggio. And there's this kind of, I don't know what else to call it. And then there's a bunch of drums that kind of build up. They're kind of almost like house drums, techno drums kind of thing. And as you notice, I'm using SSL channel on all of these things. Drums, I'm using compression, I'm using EQ. They're just kind of all over the place. What I'm going to do for the sake of time, because I don't want you guys to watch me type numbers in and fiddle with knobs and everything all over the place, I'm going to zip through this. I may fast forward it in the video. I may just cut out this whole section. I'm going to put both the SSL Native and the Waves SSL EV2 on here, and then I will set up separate tracks, and then we can do a comparison of all three sections one at a time, and I can go back and forth and we'll see what it sounds like. So I will be right back. All right, as expected, that took entirely too long, but I can verify that I did it. Here is a screen of all of the original SSL. Here's all the SSL native plugins, they're all over the place. And then here's a screen of all of the SSL EV2 plugin windows. Okay, so what I did is I duplicated all the tracks, and then I opened up each plugin one by one, and I opened up a new version, and I copied all the settings over, and I did it again for the third section. What I will do is I'll get my video off the screen. You don't have to watch me. I will zoom in on the tracks, and you can watch the song play by. All right, so I thought all three sounded pretty comparable. I thought maybe the EV2 had a little more clarity, a little more thump in the deep end of the kind of kicks and synths and things like that. What I did notice is when I was doing the comparisons between the original Waves and the SSL Native that I had to lower the volume on a number of them for no other reason than I have no idea. I have no idea why. They're supposed to be very similar, but I did have to lower the output volume on the Native in order to match and get it the same as the Waves. I have one more little test here before I draw conclusions here. We wrap up this video. So let's take a look at something else. All right, what I have here is a brand new project, just one little loop thing. I had a drum loop and a bass line on it. What I want to do is I want to see what happens for performance-wise when I load up these tracks. So what I want to do first is I want to just add in the SSL channel. We'll start with the original one. And let's do a couple things. So let's put like say 22 hertz high pass filter. We'll do like a 1 dB 8K, 1 dB in this middle band. We'll do like, I will do 1 dB all over the place. We'll leave the high mids on. Actually, we'll do a 1 dB cut at like 0.3. 4:1 ratio. We'll do a little bit of compression and just kind of play it and dial it in. So it's just kind of hitting. Okay, that's fine. It's doing something. That's all I wanted to make sure. And then I'm going to take the volume and I'm going to drop it way down to like -40 or something here. And what I want to do is I want to copy and paste this track out to, I don't know, let's say 25. So I'm going to do 24 paste. So copy, and here we go. So there we have 25, copy and paste. And if I play it, because I have the volume all low, it shouldn't be too loud. And if I bring up the performance meter as I play it, we'll see CPU load is very, very, very low. I mean, we're almost not even touching the thing. My machine is an AMD Ryzen 3900X, which is a 12-core processor. I have 32 gig of RAM. Everything's running off of SSD, actually NVMe SSD. So that's that. Let's do the same test. So we saw what, up to 0.5% CPU. Just for fun, let me copy out a whole bunch more of these. I mean, notice how fast these copy. So I have no idea how many I have. We'll have to scroll over and see. So we have 66. Let's see if we can get to 100. 87. 99, 100. If we go back to the beginning. Now we have some CPU going. So safe to say between 10 and 20%. Let's do the same thing for the SSL Native, and I will just, I'll be back. All right, here I have 25 copies of the SSL Native, and let's bring up the performance meter once again. I don't know why I keep closing that. And we will just play this along and see what the CPU looks like with 25. And barely touching it. So now I can highlight all of my channels here, and I should be able to copy and do paste, 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 and we should have 100 channels. If my math is correct, we do have 100. Let's see what it looks like now. I would say just about the same, maybe a little bit more CPU, just about the same with 100 copies of this. Let's try the SSL EV2, see what happens. All right, so I have one channel of the EV2 set up. Watch how slow this is copying and pasting. I don't know if you can hear, I'm kind of hitting the keyboard. It's not even keeping up at all. In fact, it's way over 25. See where it stopped. It stopped at 30. I'll delete out these 5. Let's play it and see what it looks like. Wow. So with 25 channels, both the Waves and the SSL Native were under 1% CPU. This thing is struggling to keep under 40. I'm going to do one copy and paste and move this up to 50 channels. My video may die here, so we'll see. You're killing me, Waves. Let it settle down a little bit, and we'll play it. Holy crap, Waves, you are killing me. My first thought when I first started using this plugin, and I just bought it a couple days ago and messed with a bunch of mixes specifically for this video with the plan of, hey, this is the new thing. I should start using this for everything. I have upgraded to version 13. I do have, my machine is regularly updated. I'm running Windows 10, latest version, no problems anywhere else. This plugin is killing my machine. And as you saw in the other 2 plugins, barely any usage with 100 copies of the plugins on 100 tracks. And I couldn't play or stop with 50 tracks of the Waves EV2. So what did we learn today? We learned that there's really not a whole lot of difference in sound in these plugins. We learned that the Waves EV2 uses a way more CPU than either of the other 2. It sounds good. And I think if I were to start a mix with it and use some of the tricks, I'll put a link to Warren Hewert's video about this plugin. He was able to get some really good sounds out of it on a remix for a song. And it's really interesting to see what it does to a machine. And I mean, this machine is no slouch. It's not the absolute top of the line, but it's a 3900X. It's been running just fine for a while. And you can see what it did to the older plugins. So what did you think of this video? Did you happen to notice which one sounded better? Did any of the 3 plugins sound better to you or worse to you? But I think in the nature of bass, which is kind of the most comprehensive test there, it was every channel except for the bass. The actual bass itself, I used just re-EQ and some 1176 for compression. I did not use this SSL on that, but it was on every other channel. I think that was pretty much the most comprehensive test. I didn't really notice any difference. What do you think? So until next video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like this sort of shootout. I have an idea to do a shootout on a 1073 because I have a number of those, including the one built into Reaper, and just see how the EQs sound between like Waves, Reapers, and maybe I can find another one here or there out there. But let me know if you like these. Until next time, have yourselves an amazing week. Hey kids, Adam here. Today we are going to do we're not going to do that. I noticed it does take a little bit longer to open up. Maybe a lot bit longer to open up. Maybe I didn't even hit add. This interface is really weird on the knobs. It's